So we're recording our YouTube video for Ryan, just in case I'm not here. 3 screws that we're going to basically remove after we disconnect. 1, 2, 3. This is going to be nice and hot because it's running. We'll remove this pressure switch.
Shut it off?
Yeah, we can shut it off here. But yeah, go upstairs so it cools it down a little bit. You want to go turn off that furnace? Just turn off the heat.
Yeah.
Slide it off. And what I did here was I sprayed and I silenced this ever so slightly, trying to get these bushings because they're not bearings, but it did get quieter. But I've been using graphite. That's what I've always used on these to buy me time so I could mail order a inducer draft motor and not pay retail. That rear wheel looks a little bit unbalanced though. Someone's been sticking their finger on it because it is wobbling. Look at that. It's lower RPMs. You can see it wobble a little.
Oh yeah.
So someone's been sticking their finger, and I think Ryan sent me a video.
I think that's the part we had replaced.
Well, I doubt he just did that. Oh shit, quarter inch. And then we'll let it cool down 90 seconds. Quarter inch. This we're just removing because it makes it's like impossible to remove without bending up the other one, you know. Molex connector comes apart. You lift this tab. This is all for Ryan's view and pleasure later in the future, and maybe I'll become a famous media influencer.
There you go.
YouTube influencer. Oh shit. There we go. Okay. That's cooled down enough. You got a ground screw, so I start with this one, and that also supports the whole thing. You know, when I started doing this the first time, I loved watching people remove these. You know, they're doing little YouTube videos on how to change these out. If you ever watch a YouTube video and they start removing these 3 screws, pick a different video because this guy doesn't know what he's doing. You know, those are not the screws you remove. Those are just part of the assembly. It's these screws.
See, yeah, if I was doing it, that's exactly what I would go for.
And that's what everyone on YouTube does. And it makes me laugh because you don't need to remove those. Yeah, this thing's a little bit warm because I just ran. And that's the reason I didn't mess around with like trying to just graphite this yesterday and put it back in, which I probably want to still try to do, is because this gasket that's in there gets trashed. And that's the biggest problem. And that's it. And the trash, it's already trashed.
Wait, is that the gasket that's like caked on?
So that little gasket, which they started making smaller, that we have to tape on.
Dog.
Is the problem. Dog, I love you, doggy. You're gonna get yourself burned. So yeah, these things are like super delicate to.
So that's what's left of it?
What's that? The gasket?
The gasket?
Yeah, but that's because it's leaking. This was just leaking. I don't.
The acid.
I don't know if he replaced it. If you had this replaced 2 years ago, that's not a new gasket.
Mark, I have no idea what he did 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, he didn't replace this. Oh, buddy, go get the ball. Go get the ball. So, yeah, screw it.
Can you call the dog?
I love this dog. It's my favorite dog. And that's awesome. You don't give her her full name. It's just a short number again.
Yeah, they all go.
We don't even need the tape because this is beveled. You can get the gasket to stick there. All right, where's that screw I dropped?
Don't burn yourself.
Yeah, I know. I just touched it. That was heavy. You know, it's not hot. It's heavy. La la la. All right, so we got a piece of Scotch tape. Oh, shit.
It looks like surgery.
No, it's fiberglass and they tear easily. So see, you see these little things, these little tabs?
Yeah.
That's to balance this out. They actually balance these out because this thing spins at 1,475 RPMs. That's fast, you know? That's why I always tell people don't even look at the blades because you'll bend them with vision, you know? But there's no way that gasket. I don't think he swapped. He probably just swapped out the motor or something.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because you can actually buy the little motor for like $150, but what's the point? Because visiting you, not that I dislike visiting you, but if you're a distant contractor, it takes too times. And then you got new screws in the bag. I'll use those. Now it's all. Oh no, Axel, you're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to go. He's not even interested in getting that.
No, he's like, whatever you're doing is a lot more interesting.
Yeah. I'll let that talk. Okay, we've got to make sure that this is painting down. This is like this, but we're gonna have to get it in first without bending it up. We're just stripping the gasket. Yeah. That's the hardest part of the job right there. This is bend. No, this is the wrong way. I gotta rotate this. Shit. I'm gonna rotate this. Right there. Try that again. Up, over, and it's facing down.
Yep.
My hole is right there.
Yes.
1/4 inch screwdriver. It's long. Oh shit! I don't have the, what do you call it? Magnetic tip. This is gonna be falling out on me, isn't it? Nope.
Got it.
Yep. And it's just 3 freaking screws. It's not worth, paying for a service call for them to come out. You got to hold this in position so it doesn't bend up that blade. This is like the hardest part, just getting the first 2 screws in so it supports the weight, And you can see where the holes are, and the gasket's still up there. Once these 2 screws are in, we're home free.
So what's the third one do?
What do you mean?
What's the third screw hold?
Well, it's just
the
third screw.
just
There's
positions
3.
it?
No, you're holding it from 3 points that are equally distant. So you divide 360 by 3, and you get 120. So the screw holes are at 120 degrees apart. But the third one also holds this ground, and unfortunately, it's gotta be bent a little bit. I wish I had a magnetic screwdriver. I haven't eaten all day, and I'm working on ramen, so my hands are shaking a little bit. All that sodium. But that's the thing. That's why I want to record this video, because Ryan could do this by himself. We soaked that bushing in graphite on the old one. We put that old one in the little space somewhere above. He knows about it. And if this ever goes out, plus, if it starts making noise, you just won't feel paranoid about it.
Yeah, it was the sound was scaring me.
Well, the worst thing that happens is that shaft wears out. See, now I'm touching that little, what's it called? Yeah. It's because this thing's bent weird. How do I bend this? So it just kind of goes to its home.
Emma's calling you. You want to answer?
No, that's all right. She'll be fine. I want her to interrupt my video. My wife always like, why don't you make YouTube videos? I'm like, because then no one's going to pay me to do stuff. I don't know why people do this, the YouTube stuff. They're just killing the industry, the service industry, because all the homeowners are doing this shit by themselves now. Why is this such a pain in the butt? So, first 2 screws took us 30 seconds. The last screw is taking us a half hour.
You want me to hold it in place?
How could you? Do you think you could?
I don't know.
Unless you got
try.
This thing's cooled off.
Yeah, I'll hold this.
You hold that. There we go. So this stuff involves getting the homeowner to assist.
Okay, hold on. I can't hold the phone
That's-
and the thing.
Down we go. Nope.
Ah!
I know, it's like twisted wrong, right? I know.
Dog get lost.
First world problems. Love it. First world problems. Let's go this way. There we go. That's going to work. All right, we twisted the other way. I think I got stage fright. That's why I'm shaking. Well, I'm going the other way just to... So I spun it backwards, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but I wanted to catch the beginning of the thread because I don't want to double thread it, because then it ruins that sheet metal socket, Then you could strip it. Now I go back and I actually tighten it into position. gasket's there. And it's I think it's only like 14 gauge sheet metal on the collector box. So it's not that thick. And you don't want to do more than like
you don't want to bend it.
2 fingers. Oh, you won't bend it. You'll spin the screw and then you got to go to the next size up. These are like number 8 screws. Then you'll have to go to 10, but you can't probably fit in 10 heads with that. Anyway, so that's that. And this is just wired directly. This is like a 3-speed inducer, but it's only using 2 of the speeds because your furnace doesn't have the other 2 speeds. I believe we don't even have to replace this. It came with the, what's it called? Another pigtail Molex adapter, but that's seated. Yeah, that's seated. Let's see if there's any difference. And this we could put back in here for next time. And if the gasket's destroyed, if he ever removes it, the gasket's destroyed. Oh yeah, hold up. So right there, this is where I would spray this guy. You can't see from this side. You can only see it from this side. Right here. And it's hot. Do you hear it boiling off? So that's the one that's rubbing. Because it's actually boiling off. So this is... We had put graphite in there. And just let it sit. That... This thing's going to be quiet next time. Plus we're storing it this way. Oh, I'm getting... That's graphite. Graphite and acetone. So the acetone boils off clean. But the graphite... It does get a little messy. I would hold on to this because you'll use this and it'll probably last you another season if you just graphite it up, you know? That's that. This. And we needed the instruction manuals to see that we were supposed to tape that gasket in place, but there was a lip, so we just used that without the tape. Because I don't think the tape and the heat from the collector box would probably goo up on us for next time. And there was no difference between the pigtail. It's the same one, same orientation, so I'm not even going to bother changing that.
Okay.
Here. 2 extra screws, I don't know what they're for. It's like Homer Simpson.
Yeah, we'll find out.
We'll find out when it flies apart. No, I'm just kidding.
It's probably for when you drop it.
Yeah. It's for the extra ground screw problems that you run into. All right. So that was that, and now we get this pressure switch back to the spot. Although, we should probably check to see if any water's accumulated in this pressure switch. You can't pull pressure these tubes off, these silicone tubes. The more you pull, the harder they get to get off. So what you do is you got to push it off. That's why I'm sticking this on. This one might be barbed, actually. I could have just done the, what do you call it side. Pressure switch side. This is not barbed, but no water. I'm sucking in. There's no water. No, because condensate forms, you know.
And then what happens? And
basically, if you get condensate, so here's the thing with some furnaces. I don't know if this is one of them, but it might be actually this one from behind. Once you get a call for heat from the thermostat, it goes through a sequence of events to make sure that the furnace is safe. The first thing it does is spins up this inducer. This switch verifies that this is actually producing enough like vacuum pressure on this manifold. This switch verifies the integrity of the heat exchanger. Like if there's holes in the heat exchanger, which would allow carbon monoxide into your ambient internal air, you know, then the switch wouldn't close because you wouldn't be able to suck enough. And I guess you've got these tubes for these burners. They're just tubes they're called heat exchangers. You got hot gas flowing that's burning, being sucked up by this. And this thing just makes sure that it gets over a threshold of 0.27 inches of water column. So if you had a straw in water and you lifted 0.27 inches above the meniscus of the water level in the glass, that's 0.27 inches of water column. And you need more than that to actually close the switch to verify that this heat exchanger integrity is like acceptable, that it's still there. Otherwise, it's kind of an unsafe condition. Second, if this would have failed, then you obviously can't get the switch to close, and you're not sucking out the fumes. So this is like a negative pressure to make sure that stuff gets pushed up the chimney, you know. And that's that. So that just verifies. Oh, and going back to the thermostat. So call for heat, verifies that this thing is working. This thing's working, then the igniter starts to go. Silicon nitride igniter. Then the gas valve opens. Then the flame gets detected. It's kind of cool how that works. It's got 120 volts going to this stainless steel rod.
Where?
That's a silicon nitride. That's something that you don't even look at. So that black thing, you look at it funny, it'll crack.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking.
So this,
I'm just holding the camera.
This is
sideways.
Actually something that you're supposed to do once in a while. Make sure you turn the furnace off because you got 120 volts on this thing. And what happens is when the actual furnace kicks on a flame, the plasma in the flame starts to conduct, and it drops this voltage down to 90, and that's what the circuit board actually detects. So this, we want to clean this every so often because the sulfur that's in the gas coats it, and it becomes an insulator and prevents it from, what's it called? So that $85 that you pay for guys to come out.
That's all they do?
This is what they clean. But this is important. Steel wool. Never, ever use sandpaper. Because sandpaper will leave sand particles. And what happens when you melt sand? You get glass. And what is glass? It's an insulator. So you will have made your problem worse because then you've got a glass insulating layer on top of your flame sensor. Then it doesn't work for sure. This is actually supposed to be stainless steel.
You listening? Pay attention.
Stainless steel in color, but
don't be sniffing tools.
It's the acetone you probably.
I like how he's just laying here listening.
Beautiful dog. We're gonna throw some ball after this. Yes, we are. But that's it. So this is the $85 clean and check right here. You clean, and that's it. Try to get that shiny. It'd be nice if it was, brand new shiny, but it doesn't matter. Going back, my God, do I have ADD? Going back, once that flame is detected, then the furnace keeps running. However, some furnaces never actually, give you an error code if the pressure switch should fail because this bearing should, let's say, seize the fan from spinning, and then let's say the vacuum drops below 0.27 inches. So there you should actually get an error code. But some furnaces don't give you an error code because it's already committed to a burn cycle, and the flames will disappear because it dropped, but it won't give you an error code. And that's, I guess what I was trying to say is, it would have been comfortable for any customer or Ryan or yourself to have been able to count the error codes that are associated with this inducer draft lower pressure switch did not close. So basically right here, 3-1, you should have gotten 3 fast pulses, 1 short, 3 slow pulses, 1 fast pulse, and that would have been 31. But that only happens once this completely failed and it never even lit. When it's getting to the point where it's making noises and intermittent, you see the flame come out, then you've got to basically check what the vacuum pressure is on this tube, which would tell you that this thing is failing, but you can audibly hear that it's failing. And that's another nice indicator about that. But if, let's say, the flame was being interrupted and this was quiet, then this, after so many cycles, it's a mechanical switch with a rubber diaphragm. And that rubber diaphragm, if water gets, see, that's one more thing that we could do. We don't want to have a dip in it. We want the actual tube to try to drain out. So flat would be better than a dip. Okay. You would have created, I would have just left it.
Would have been like a trap.
With a P-trap. Yeah, you would have had a P-trap. And then that's just not good. Yeah, so that's it. Whatever, we're good to go. 3 screws are in, ground's on. This is supported. Flame sensor is mounted, secured, cleaned. Yeah, and that's it. And then, a flame sensor is also another one that most fan control boards, which is what this board is, and with the light, the fan control, they don't register. Most of these don't have flame sensor error codes. So that bad, what do you call it? Dirty flame sensor. Yeah. That won't. It's smart, but it's
not that smart.
That's reserved. So I guess technicians could feed their families.
Well, we all need to eat.
Yeah, Here. Exactly. All right, so turn the furnace on. There we go. And that's it. Awesome. so it's quieter. Yeah, so had you left the thermostat in the heat position before we shut down, and we would have kicked it back on, then we would have had like a 30-minute or 30-second delay where like the indoor blower motor would have to come on. Okay, now flame goes on. That detects flame. There's usually another light on these boards, like an amber light that shows it's detecting flame. That's how you know your flame sensor is dirty, because you'll see the burners go out right after the amber light disappeared. But no one ever looks through these.
I didn't even know it existed.
Exactly. No one even. Well, probably shouldn't be advertising on YouTube. I'm gonna starve now.
Dude, there's no way I'll figure it out.
So after 30 seconds, the next step is basically so you're not blowing cold air. It just started to blow air, and now you're circulating air. But that's all nice and quiet, so we're done. And then this we just hide in the rafters for next time, so Ryan can find it. It's so simple. It's 3 freaking screws, you know.